Hello everybody, it's Max with Crypto Talk Now. I get asked this quite a bit, and that is, Max, when is the bull run going to start? I am so sick and tired of crypto winter. Well, it doesn't exactly work that way, right? Just because we're tired of crypto winter or a bear market doesn't mean that just magically we're out of it. But if anything, we can recognize these particular cycles to give us an idea of where the market is heading. Without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into today's coverage, which is going to cover just that, the actual bull run thesis, and on top of that, where we're actually going to go here soon in regards to a utility run that's going to trigger a bull run. I full-heartedly believe that. So here we go. And I'm going to full screen this. Because if anything, I got to give a shout out to these guys. So, this comes straight from Investor Place. It's a premium service. Shout out to Charlie Shrem and Luke Lango. Charlie Shrem has been into Bitcoin since literally the $5 mark. These guys know a thing or two because they've seen a thing or two, if you will. All right. So with that said, look here. It says broadly, they think that cryptos are going to soar and we think Bitcoin will rise more than 100%. Now, me personally, I feel as though when it comes to Bitcoin, there's still, of course, money to be made. I will never deny that. But my return on investment, I think, is definitely with the altcoins, especially the utility-based ones. Now, this is not me trying to just throw out crazy things or graphs with nothing to back it up. You're going to see that here in a bit. So for instance, it says cryptos are a risk asset that has historically proven very closely tied to money supply. When money supply is falling, cryptos do just that. They struggle. When money supply is rising, cryptos soar. And of course, we'll show you data to back this up. Money supply was drained in 2022, as we know. Crypto sank, but money supply will turn around and start rising again in just that early 2023. There's enough to show with evidence to support that. As a rapid collapse in inflation and economic activity prompts a sharp turn in Fed policy, cryptos will basically, consequently soar. How do we know that? Well, you got to throw in the fact that the fourth Bitcoin halving is going to happen in April 2024, and that crypto winners tend to end 12 months before a halving. So the stage basically will appear set for a crypto boom cycle in 2023. Now, think about that. Is that in perfect alignment for instance, ISO 222 mandate that's going to drop late March? Could it possibly be? And I could be possibly wrong on all this. Again, when we get into the actual data, it will make you at least take pause and think to yourself, this does make sense. So it says, we've talked a lot about the money supply part of this bull thesis. Today, we want to spend some time digging into the Bitcoin halving part of the bull thesis. Now, you may be wondering, why so much emphasis on Bitcoin? Because there needs to be. You got to keep in mind, while we're all gung-ho about the utility-based coins and tokens and so on, right? There's no denying that Bitcoin and Ethereum still represent, currently speaking, 81% of the overall crypto market cap. So it says Bitcoin halving events are typically very bullish for crypto markets. They are. That is, they have historically always marked the end of crypto winners and the beginning of new boom cycles. Now, for some people saying, well, this is useless data, or I just don't see it. This data is invalid because unlike previous crypto winners, things are just so extremely volatile. We could have another black swan event. There could be another war, etc., etc. I get where you're coming from. But the key thing here to take away from all this is recognizing just that. People like who? Whether you're a fan of him, Richard Hart. He has called it time and time again, and he's been right, while everybody else has been wrong. Why? Even he refers to these particular boom cycles. Don't believe me? Look more into it for yourself. Now, the first crypto winter saw Bitcoin drop 90% over 22 months. I know I'm reading a lot of this verbatim, but it needs to be mentioned. It says it ended about 12 months before the first Bitcoin halving. The second crypto winter saw Bitcoin drop 80% over 59 months. It ended about 12 months before the second Bitcoin halving. It's true. The third crypto winter saw Bitcoin drop 80% over roughly 60 weeks. It ended about 12 months before the third Bitcoin halving. We, as we speak, are currently down about 75% on Bitcoin over a 58-week stretch. That means the current crypto winter is consistent with the second and third crypto winners, both in terms of magnitude and duration. It's worth pointing out. Now, even on our live show, we put in thumbnails, for instance, are we at the bottom? That gets asked quite a bit, you know what I mean? And I think we touched bottom briefly. We saw Bitcoin basically hit the 15s, right? 15,000, what was it, 700, something like that, maybe 800. It touched it briefly. That was true bottom so far, if you want to state for 2022. Obviously, today is January 1st of 2023. So, is this the Bitcoin bottom? Well, enough evidence could support that it could be. It says, Bitcoin bear markets typically comprise, having a hard time with indigestion, an 80% drawdown over 50 to 60 months. We are down 75% right now over 58 months. If this is the bottom, it is consistent with previous crypto winners. You gotta reflect on what happened in the past to give you an idea of what is going to happen possibly here soon. So it says we are just a few months out from the T12 month point for the fourth Bitcoin halving, which of course is slated to happen when? April 2024. Therefore, the timing of everything seems to be lining up perfectly. In this crypto winter, we have fallen as much as Bitcoin normally falls in a bear market. Worth pointing out, right? It says we have fallen for about as long as Bitcoin normally falls in a bear market, and we are months away from a moment that has historically always marked the end of crypto winners. It's almost too perfect. And that, of course, is where I understand. I won't argue with people when it comes to this. When things seem too perfect, or as the saying goes, when things seem too good to be true, they usually are. Stay with me. We have high conviction in saying crypto prices will rise next year. The question then becomes how much? Yes, how much? How much will crypto prices rise in just that, 2023? We're in this new year. Our analysis suggests Bitcoin will rise about 100% next year, and that certain altcoins will rise several 100%. Now, I'm going to state this. In regards to where states certain altcoins will rise several 100%. My opinion, I'm going to jump to this screen. It starts with some of these. Now, specifically, if you want the nitty gritty of the ones that will really, really start this, it starts with what I refer to, and I've been consistent on this, a utility run. It's going to start specifically with Ripple and XLM. And you could even include Qnt in that mix because it simply makes sense based off of everything that they're doing. I mean, we're talking at scale that nobody else is really, really doing. Again, that supply and demand. That's what utility is based all about on when you think about it. If you have something that is literally making everything interoperable and at the same time at scale that nobody else is doing, right? The demand for CBDCs, you see the Qnt connection, you name it. This video is not just about Qnt. It's not just about XRP. It's not just about XLM. It's literally about all these particular utility-driven coins and tokens. So I'm going to take a brief moment to point some of these out, and then we'll kick it back, of course, into that particular coverage about, the bull run. But I did pin this to my Twitter page, Cheat Sheet 2.0. Stellar Lumens, for instance, right? Stellar Consensus Protocol. You got the Hyperledger Fabric. It is an official ISO 222. It's not on the list to become one. The ones that are with the asterisk, obviously, are the ones going to become one and so on. But for instance, you see how this is literally fractions. Like it shows right here, 0.3438 per transaction. That's like, that's just fractions of a cent. It's so darn cheap in regards to how much it actually costs, the fees, right? 1,000 transactions per second. You see, for instance, XRP. Gotta mention these first. 0.302 per transaction. Like literally, slightly above the price of a Luna Classic token. 1,500 TPS. And for instance, on the Interledger. Gotta sneeze real quick. Didn't want to do that in the mic. All right. So, for instance, obviously ISO 222, it's already on the particular list. But again, people do not realize that, especially when it comes to Ripple's XRP, that on-demand liquidity, you literally, I use this analogy a lot. You have got to picture, for instance, a great big giant faucet going to fill it like a, Olympic-sized swimming pool. Right? And currently speaking, when people want to FUD XRP and say, well, we never saw that anything too significant with it. Look at the price. Yeah. Think about it. Have that visualization. Call it layman's terminology. There is that great big huge faucet, and if anything, it's got a slight leak. It's just literally leaking out a few droplets here and there. But when that thing starts gushing out and that tap is released, it's going to be something else. You can apply that to the bank-to-bank payments. You can apply that, for instance, to even Stellar, right? When it comes to the peer-to-peer. These two are really going to have a big factor in quant at the same time. Why? Look at what's listed here. Blockchain agnostic API gateway and operating system to enable secure interoperability by connecting users, businesses, institutions, MLT, DLT, supply chain, CBDCs. And oh, by the way, you saw the other videos, for instance, what? Multi-dApps, right? Really, really impressive. And that's just scratching the surface. Some of these other ones will kick in after these ones, I believe, first start. How do we know this? You better believe there's going to be big demand for Hedera's HBAR. 10,000, transactions per second. On top of that, we covered, for instance, Alliance Block. Technically speaking, it's not an ISO, but you could definitely throw it into this category of solid use case, utility-driven coins and tokens. Even LCX protocol, right? LCX is a unique exchange, is looking to become a bank. How unique is that? Like we mentioned before, you have anything specifically unique, it creates that much more demand for it, especially if it has real world utility. You already see that happening quite a bit with LCX. There's some of these other ones that are great. We covered, for instance, Casper, Algorand, IOTA. These are the ones that are going to basically all suit after the likes of Qnt, XRP, and Xlm. Again, that's just how I personally feel about it. I know a lot of you guys feel the same way too. And if anything, we could be objective to some of these particular comments I'm making. It's what comes with the territory. XDC, for instance, that's in my top 4. Literally on my list, it's pretty much like a tie when it comes to XRP and Qnt. Then, for instance, Xlm, and I have XDC at my number 4. But you may have it set up different. Constellation DAG, for instance. We haven't even done a proper deep dive into that. I think that is very, very significant. It's not officially an ISO, but again, a real strong player. Part of this mix. Why? Just think about it. That United States Air Force connection. All right. I'm going to come back to the previous one. Give me just a moment. And that is this. It says that analysis is based on the historical pattern of Bitcoin, typically retracing 38% to 50% of its bear market losses in the 12 months before halving event. In the first crypto winter, Bitcoin dropped about 90%. In the 12 months before the first halving, Bitcoin recouped about 40% of those losses. And you can see this right here. It lists everything basically from 2011, 2012, 2013, and going forward. Got to look at some of these particular graphs and so on. Whether you're into it or not, for some people it's kind of boring. But for a lot of people who understand it, it makes a lot of sense. It's a good point of reference. And look at this. In the second crypto winter, excuse me. Apologize, guys. I'm kind of fighting some allergies today. Good way to start off the new year, but that's what happens sometimes. So it says, in the second crypto winter, Bitcoin dropped about 80%. In the 12 months before the second halving, Bitcoin recouped about 50% of those losses. And basically see that reflective right here. I did try to blow it up as much as I possibly could. Hence why I'm not in the frame. Again, it's not about me being in the frame. It's about seeing the particular data. It says in the third crypto winter, Bitcoin dropped about 80%. In the 12 months before the third halving, Bitcoin recouped about 38% of those losses. And it would have been closer to 50% if not, of course, for what happened with the pandemic and so on. There's a very clear pattern here. Yeah, there is a very clear pattern here. Could it very well repeat itself? Is it too good to be true? Or is it something like, wow, let's prepare for this? Is time running out to prepare for it? Could very well be. People, of course, complaining about crypto winners and so on. That is where the generational wealth is created. That in itself is a very true statement. Think about the last recession, for instance. The top innovators or top millionaires and billionaires came out from that particular recession at record numbers. Now, Bitcoin drops about 80% over 50 to 60 months in a crypto winter. It bottoms about 12 months before the next halving. In those 12 months, it recoups between 38 and 50% of its losses in the previous winter. Given the fundamental backdrop, we believe this pattern will repeat for a fourth time. A fourth time. Bitcoin has dropped about 80% over nearly 60 months in this crypto winter, which is very true. We believe it is close to a bottom today. I fully believe that as well. There's enough indicators, as you see here, to support that thesis. With the fourth Bitcoin halving about 16 months away, over the next 16 months, we believe Bitcoin will recoup between 38 and 50% of its losses. That would put Bitcoin in early 2024 at somewhere between 35 and 40,000, which implies that Bitcoin will rally 100% in 2023. And here's some of those indicators pointing towards that, right? Now, it states, we all know that altcoins are just high beta versions of Bitcoin. Well, teach its own. Therefore, if Bitcoin rises 100% in 2023, we fully expect high-quality altcoins to rise several 100%. Where some of those high-quality altcoins, the utility-based ones. Stellar, Hedera's HBAR, Alliance Block. I'm not too familiar with, for instance, Energy Web, but I'm going to definitely look more into it, right? Constellation DAG, LCX, Qnt Xdc, Casper, Algorand, Ripple's XRP. Don't know about Sologenic, but I have definitely heard more about it. IOTA and Corium. All right, on top of that, we get more into it. So, for instance, it states, in a nutshell, we think 2023 will look very different than 2022. God, I hope so. We think that it'll be the opposite. Cryptos came into 2022 red hot and ended up crashing. Now they are going into 2023 ice cold, and we think they'll end up soaring. Of course, a lot of this bull thesis hinges on just that, the Fed policy pivot. So we will have to wait and see if that pivot does actually happen. But if and when it actually does happen, we're expecting a Fed pause in February. Then you can trust. Excuse me, I had to clear my throat. Then you can trust that we will start to get aggressive with crypto investing. Fortunes could be made in crypto markets in 2023. We just have to be patient and wait our turn to make those fortunes. Patience will pay off. As he tells his daughter, patience is profit. So with that said, everybody, I'm going to come back into the frame. And if anything, it's nice to reflect on some of this to give you guys an idea instead of just having somebody ask me a random question and have nothing to back it up. Let me know what you think in regards to this particular data. Are you on board, or are you going to join the minority who basically believes that we get the start of the bull run, for instance, after the utility run kicks in? When's that going to happen? In my humble opinion, it all first starts after late March, early April, roughly in that area, maybe into May, but definitely after the first quarter of 2023. That simply makes sense to me. I realize I'm in the minority, but again, let me think, or let me know what you think in that regard. I always love hearing you guys' questions, comments, and so on. And if you do want to drop a question or comment on the live show, check us out every single day for Crypto Talk Now, 9 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Pacific. We look forward to having you there. Again, like, comment, subscribe if you haven't done so already, and hit that bell notification. Thanks for watching today's coverage. You all have a blessed day. We'll see you on the next one.